Welcome back to the Finding Freedom podcast. Let's dive right into this week's question. Namaste. Lately, I have fallen off the good habits I have been trying to establish. Although I know intellectually they are beneficial, I am lacking discipline. I was enthusiastic before because I thought I had something to gain, but the opposite is true. How did you establish and maintain a regular practice and positive habits? If you had any challenges with consistency or discipline with meditation or lifestyle, I would love to hear what helped you. Thanks again. Thank you. A couple of great points are covered here, and I thought I would devote an entire podcast to it. And the first thing that jumped out at me was the part about I was enthusiastic before because I thought I had something to gain, but the opposite is true. You do not have to take that perspective. I can see why you did, and I'll clear it up for you. It's not a matter of adding on, it's a matter of letting go. And what I mean by that is it's our identity, the false ego self, that causes all the suffering in our lives. It's not the content in our lives, but the internal calibration to the monkey mind or the ego, or what is sometimes called the voices in the head, our thoughts, which are all past and future, our identity and our addiction to maintaining the ego is the entire crux of the problem. We think that by having the content of our lives set up in just the right way that will solve all our problems and live happily ever after. And yet it never really seems to ever work, does it? Because the world of form cannot fulfill us. Now, you can get a certain degree of ego satisfaction, absolutely, but it's always short-lived. And then it's on to the next thing and the next conquest and the next achievement. We're never actually living our lives. We are in pursuit of this elusive false promise of the ego that is always a bar that's just out of reach. We are already perfect. We are what we seek. We is actually spirit, the vertical dimension, the depth of the changeless, the infinite. That which is real never changes. That which is impermanent is not real. And so our foundation is on the real, and the rest is a game, the game of life. The content of our life does not determine our well-being. We don't even want it that way. If it's set up that way, we're at the mercy of infinite things that are beyond our control. Now, when we find out what we've had under our nose the entire time, that our true nature is the ultimate. It's the ultimate. It's beyond our wildest dreams. Nothing else can even compare. Nothing. The dream of a lifetime pales in comparison to simply being who we are in presence. That's why when we're in presence, it's just a name for it, though. These are just labels. These are words that are pointing to something that cannot be described. When we awaken to our true nature, life gets really simple because desires fall away. And we're so easily satisfied. That's where fulfillment is. It's really inexpensive. It's really simple. And it's the best thing there is. We'll still be who we were before. Nothing changes, and yet everything is totally different. In fact, for the first time in our entire lives, we can actually enjoy everything without attachment, though, because we're not expecting anything from any place we go, from our family, from the weather, from whatever you can think of. There's a lot of pressure that is taken off of the content of our lives because we're bringing the magic to it. We're the magic. There's an authenticity. because we're not trying to get anything from anyone, any place, anything. We don't need anything. All of our needs and desires drop away. This is why the great sages, not only do they not have thoughts, but they don't really own anything. They're happy sitting in a cave with a loincloth and eating practically nothing because they know the bliss of presence, of self-realization. So how do we find this presence? We don't have to do any practices, but there's a saying that enlightenment is sort of an accident, and that meditation makes us more accident prone. And so while, for example, my own awakening experience happened at age 4 or 5, and I hadn't obviously heard of meditation, so it's not necessary, but I do meditate every day, twice a day, and I absolutely love it. I wouldn't live without it. It infuses the rest of my day with the silence of spirit, God, all sorts of names we have, the divine, for this great, beautiful awareness that is the essence of everything. So when you said that, I was enthusiastic when I thought I had something to gain, but the opposite is true. You actually have absolutely everything to gain. Nisargadatta says, love is knowing I am everything. Wisdom is knowing I am nothing. And between the two, my life flows. That's the art of living, embodying the spirit, living in the world, but not of it. You have everything to gain. And everything that you already, all the content currently in your life will be infused with a magic. That's not the point. It's just a byproduct. Usually people do come to a spiritual path because they've suffered enough. The Buddha said life is suffering. And then he taught that there was a way to end suffering. And the way to end suffering is to know thyself. There is no self. Surrender. Let life live you. Let go and you let God. Now, maybe that takes some faith at first, and that's okay. That's actually okay. We all know the truth inside. And we can let go. We can surrender. As far as how did I establish and maintain a regular practice, I did fall in love with meditation the instant that I started practicing it. It just transforms my life in such a beautiful way. When I don't meditate, life gets a lot harder. Scientifically, it has been shown that it increases the gray matter in the area of the brain responsible for peace. I know I always say this, but it does do that. I meditate in bed first thing for half an hour every day. And then all of the other choices that support me happen throughout the rest of the day. Just find myself in a place of gratitude and peace and presence. As Ramana used to teach, that our lives are scripted. They're going exactly how they're meant to go. There are no mistakes. Happiness is found within, and it's not about what's going on the outside. I don't need to be entertained. I don't need to do the things that a lot of people require in order to feel like they have a fulfilling life. I'm fulfilled with very little. And it's the same with the sage who is in a cave. Not that we don't appreciate going out to dinner or meeting up with friends or traveling or all of those other things, but they're not required. And that's basically what equanimity is. Our likes and dislikes start to fall away. Distractions aren't necessary because we don't want to distract ourselves from presence. It's the best there is. When you have the best there is, why settle for less? You do have something to gain. You have the best there is to gain. And the great news is that it's actually who you are. You've already got it, and you've always had it, and you can never lose it. It is who you are. It's what is causing you to seek. It's calling you home. You are love. Just have fun when you're ready to take the quest into, if you're still having a good time in the world, then just enjoy yourself. You have nothing to lose. You don't have to give anything up or force anything. This is an organic process. When the bug bites you, you will go for it. but don't force yourself, because then it's ego that is trying to wake up, and then you become a spiritual ego. I hope that this was helpful. Please include a question or a topic that you would like to see covered in a future podcast. I send you much love, light, and presence. Namaskar.